Yeah, we are here. What's going on? This is what we in the industry like to call movie magic. First things first, though. Let's get a rip on this. Oh. You see this flex? It's because of this. Man. Oh, damn, I got my fingers. Don't ever change, brother. Okay, what's going on? Well, in our last episode, we were supposed to do some really easy tasks on the car, and we didn't complete a single one of them, basically. So what's going on? Okay, we didn't go to test and tune, you guys know that. But I was telling Teresa, we were talking, and she said, you know, what do you got to do to the car? I said, well, I got to put a drive shaft loop in it, and you know, I got to put a harness in it, and I said, you know, I really wanted to drive it a little bit more before I took it up there, but you know, it'll be all right. I said, I'm a little worried about the bell housing on the car. And she's like, wait a minute. Now she's no dummy. She knows what different parts of the car are, and she knows what the bell housing is. And she goes, wait a minute, what do you mean? What are you worried about the bell housing for? And I said, well, I mean, you know, we're missing part of it. And she's like, what does that mean? And I said, well, long story short, the bell housing that's in this car is the bell housing for my 84 GT that I had back in the early to mid 90s. And I'd broken the transmission in it, taken it over to Yoda's house, and one thing led to another. I ended up ordering a Jericho, another story, which I never even used, and transmission sat over at his house in parts and everything else. And somewhere along the way, someone laid a bag of fertilizer against the bell housing. We all know what happens at that point in time. It starts disappearing. So when I went to pick it up, I went to pick up the T5, what was left of the T5. It was one of the non-world class transmissions, so not anything special anyway. I went to pick up the parts. I was like, you got the bell? He goes, yeah, it's over here. And his garage looks like a bomb went off, pretty much like Art, my shop, and everything around here. So the bell housing is missing part of it. And I'll show you that when we get under the car. So it's a bad combination for the worst bell housing I got and the most powerful car that I have, in theory. So she wasn't too enthusiastic about me racing the car with something that, and listen, I do a lot of sketchy stuff. That's no secret. But she trusts me to be sketchy, but maybe not completely stupid. And she wasn't a huge fan of that idea. So, and I, to be honest, wasn't a huge fan of it either. It was in the back of my mind. When I first put the car together, we didn't even know if the blower worked. We didn't know anything about it. So it was just, hey, let's just get it running, and then we'll start fixing all the stuff that needs to be fixed along the way. So there we go. We get the car fired up, the blower works, everything's good to go. So now I got this bell housing, you know, I got 75% of a bell housing structurally, and you know, maybe we should do something about that. So we're probably gonna burn the clutch out of the car anyway, potentially break the transmission. So before we do any of that, we're just gonna change some stuff. I'm not a huge fan of really kind of doing that, but we're also not going to have a ton of days to go race before it starts getting hot. And I want to expedite some of this. You know, the one thing at a time, that is a fantastic idea. But our track owner is he just does not follow our schedule. I just never know when we're going to have a testing tune. I never know if it's going to be radial prep. I just don't know. So sometimes just got to throw the kitchen sink at stuff and just hope it all works out. So what are we doing? You can see right here, I've got a QuickTime bell housing that I've had for probably 15 years. And we're gonna put the QuickTime on, we're gonna put aluminum flywheel on the car, and we're gonna put the spec clutch that I have in here that, you know, for the most part, I've been happy with. It broke a few transmissions, but that was when it was still fairly new. So we don't rev this car very high in the grand scheme of things. So I think all this is going to work out pretty good. We're going to put the Z-Spec in it, and which I'll be happy with that. I'll knock some first gear down. And we're going to do that. We're also going to change the headers while we got the car, while we got the transmission and stuff out. I'm just going to go ahead and do the headers. I'm not a fan of how this thing sounds. I'm hoping that it'll sound better. And before everyone goes crazy, we also ordered a, not AEM, but it looks like an AEM wideband. We ordered a cheap wideband that, you know, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. We didn't pay a ton of money for it. I'm not a huge fan of widebands because they seem, I'm not going to argue with the fact that they're a valuable tool. They just don't freaking work half the time. I mean, you look at any review on widebands that are reasonably priced, and it's like, mine sucked, this one sucked, it was great, this one sucked. I got a broken one that died in a week. It's not great. I've had to replace, I've got an autometer one in the fail TD. I've had to put a sensor in it already. Go figure. So whatever. But we've got one coming for this car, and the headers already have an O2 bung on them. I'm just gonna swap headers. And the steering shaft doesn't go through them, which I freaking hate. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the transmission out and clutch and bell housing and all that kind of stuff, and we're gonna swap the headers. So there's no testing tune this weekend. So we've got some days to work on it, and I would really like to get it running so I can take it and drive it a little bit. So that's what we're doing. And if you guys don't like that, then that's tough, said the kitty. But the milk's okay. All right, let me start knocking some junk loose. I hope you enjoyed that talking.
Okay, here's our bell housing. I need to jack the car up some more, but as you can see, I mean, we're missing. I'm just not a huge fan. I'm just not a huge fan of it. So yeah, we're gonna change that out, and then we're also gonna get these headers swapped out. So yep, I jacked the car up some more. But yeah, that's our bell housing. So I was okay with it, naturally aspirated, not so much with power adder.
Another thing I wanted to do was change this fitting, and I ordered one and they sent me the wrong freaking fitting. So I'm still deciding on what I want to do with that. Just punch a bigger hole. I don't know. Hadn't figured it out yet. Giant trash bag.
We got distracted by our super sketchy art project. Hey, don't mind any of this. I'm like, man, I want like a race car, and you know, I can't afford one of those crazy front spoilers, the fiberglass, you know, like $400 plus shipping and stuff. I can't afford that. But what I can afford is some free metal that we have laying around the plant. I got this old GT nose. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna screw this garbage down. I mean, yeah, does it look a little shady? Yeah, a little bit, it's a little substandard. We might just leave it just like this and paint all this black. We're gonna cut out a bunch of the support like we did on McNugget. We're gonna put the headlights in. We're probably gonna slot the, you know, here for cooling, just the whole deal. And we're gonna paint it all satin black. I did not want to do any of this to the nose that is on the car now because it's in good shape. There's nothing wrong with it, you know, when I've got this perfectly good. Plus the GTs have the, you know, they got something I can bolt onto here. And this is extended down. It's just exactly what I wanted, except it looks like complete garbage, but it costs me nothing except these screws and a little bit of my time. So I don't know if I'm going to make it all black. Or like, I don't know. I may just leave it silver, just the Mad Max style. To heck with it. I know no one else is gonna like it. And you know what? Me, we don't care. And Hand Puppet don't give a damn. And neither does Big Trash Bag, just in case you're wondering. Just when you thought it couldn't get any jankier, I did this yesterday too. There is a piece of rubber on the end of this. I'm thinking about cutting out a piece of aluminum to fit in here. And you can get some. I ain't got no bracket. That bracket ain't hardly moving now. So I was, you know, this was a thing back in the day when I had my first VORTECH back in the early to mid 90s. They had a, you know, a brace thing that bolted to the strut tower, and, you know, I bought that thing, and I can't remember how much that thing was. But this, I had this laying, and I was like, you know what if I could do this? And I said, I'd drill a little bit of bigger hole, and look at us. That's like $6, $7, $8. Got us a blower brace. It looks like maybe I'll paint it black. Maybe I'll paint that black. Maybe I'll paint this black too. So, I mean, we're going to get a whole thing going under the hood where it just looks amazing. So, anyway, but yeah, look at us being, you know, ingenuity at its finest. I swear. We got the jankiest junk in the world. And yeah, we're gonna cut this out. We're cutting all this garbage out, and we're gonna pin it because I don't care. It's kind of heavy now. I want it to be lighter. I want it to be like a pin on. So we're gonna cut this where it's bonded. Look, it's already trying to come apart. It's a cheaper hood. So I think we can get it cut down, and then no telling how much it'll weigh. I mean, it'll be lighter. I'll feel better about myself. We also got something in the mail at the house, and you know, I'm anxious to get home and open up the box and see it. So it is for this car, so be anxious to see that. Something's going to help us out maybe a little bit. So anyway, all right, we'll see you guys in the next clip. I got the jack over here so I can get the car jacked up higher so we can actually start doing some of the real work. Used to be a local muffler shop. Yeah, get some. Used to be a local muffler shop that had a muffler man made out of mufflers and pipes and stuff, and he held a sign that said "No muff, too tough." Always liked that place. There's the old Z-Spec. That is an official Army ROTC t-shirt that I was carrying it with. I felt a little stronger, you know, being all I can be, Army of One. All right, cross members out. All we gotta do now is knock the 4 bolts out, pull the transmission out. We already got shifter off, blah, blah, blah. Get that out, then we can start taking the bell housing and stuff out. I get down to the bell housing and the clutch. Well, we gotta take the starter off too, so I will see. I just gotta have it, I wanna have it running by Saturday. So today is Tuesday. So I'll work on it a little bit after work, and then hopefully come out here Friday and knock out all the big stuff or whatever. Just have it running. So anyway, let me get these bolts knocked loose and see you guys next clip. And this is why it's good to nut and bolt your car. Look at that. I'm literally turning it with my hand. All 4 bolts were basically loose. So I don't know if that's something that I did, or they just loosened up over, you know, racing the car and stuff like that. But they were all, which is weird, they were all basically like finger tight. So anyway, let's get them out. Yay me and hand puppet, yay! Got a little input play. Shim that up before it goes back in anything. Got the bell off. That was hard working clutch right there. That old rusty joker was doing work. Look at that right there. Oh, looks like Jaws bit it. Gonna need a bigger boat. Got old stocker out, stock clutch out. Check this out. How's that for Substandard? I guess I lost one. I don't remember doing that, but obviously I did. So let's see if we can. That's great. Got our flywheel holder and our cheater bar, our small breaker with pipe. Still makes it a little difficult because I got to hold one here and one there. So, but I got that old man strength, son. Got a little dew coursing through me. Okay. Use the impact to finish them off. All right. There we go. Flywheel's out. So we can go ahead and take the headers off since we've got everything out of the way, and put the other ones in. So whew. Also have to take the steering shaft loose as it runs through the header tube. So that is one of the main things I don't like about these headers. Plus, like I say, we're putting a bigger header on, which will be more awesome for our boosted boosty. Club Big Boost. Go big, go home. So, but I think that's going to be it for today out here. We're going to go home, check out what we got in the mail, and start back on it tomorrow afternoon when we get off. Okay, we made it home, and we got our box in the mail. Oh, crap. Man, where's my trusty razor blade at? These scissors. We got the mail here. Well, I know what it is. So, it is Mr. Freeze. Yeah, that's what we bought. An overpriced fish pump. Goodness gracious alive. Now, could I have built something or pieced something together, do it yourself on YouTube 100%? I mean, it's got zip ties on it, so I know I can make this. But I wouldn't have the street cred of having a tank that says Anderson on it. And they sent me, wow, they sent me a tiny sticker, but we did get a sticker. So you would think as much as this contraption costs isn't nothing but a check valve and some other junk and a tank, that as much as this thing cost, that we would have gotten a little bit more for our money. But I don't want, but I don't want to bash. I'm not bashing Anderson. I'm just bashing the economy. So, this is a methanol injection kit for you guys that don't know what I'm talking about here. This is pretty much a really kind of an old school one. It's all mechanical. So I didn't want to spend, I know that sounds crazy, where I say I didn't want to spend a bunch of money. If that was the case, then I probably could have, I should have just did a do it yourself kind of a thing. But this has actual resale value. So if I'm not happy with the blower stuff and the whole thing just comes caving down, I'm pushing my chips in on the blower stuff, guys. Pushing my chips in. I'm pushing my chips in that the VORTECH is going to treat me right, and we're going to have some fun with it, and the car is going to be kind of quick and stuff like that. But we do have an iron-headed motor at the moment, and the methanol injection, I don't drive crazy when I'm just driving around. I mean, unless I go and testing something, that's the only time I really get on it. I just normally just drive normal. So, filling the thing and all this kind of running out and all this. I didn't need anything super high tech, or I needed something simple and just really something that's going to work at the track. These have been around for a long time. They reintroduced them a few years ago, and if it works, it works. If it's sometimes, keep it simple, stupid kind of a deal. So that's what we got. We got this Mr. Freeze. And yeah, I bought it brand new, amazingly enough. So that's what we got. I even bought a jug of VP Racing speed sauce, which is basically like the Snow's Boost juice and whatever. I know you can use windshield wiper fluid. I know you can mix it yourself. The speed sauce is like $10, and I got it in the Summit order. So I'll probably order another couple jugs of it, but this will give us a little bit of insurance, and I've got a wideband coming, so whenever we start spraying this garbage in, I'll be able to see what's going on with the O2, because then I can keep the timing in it. That's, it's partially for the cooling, partially for the increase in the methanol, or the fuel octane, blah, 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 blah. So that's what we got. So that's another thing we got to hook up, mount somewhere, figure out how to mount it. Oh, it's got little, there we go. Everyone seems to want to mount it where the old charcoal canister went, so probably where we'll mount ours. There we go. So I guess that's going to wrap it up. I got a few more little things coming in the mail, just knick-knacky stuff, my own little personal things to make it where I look at the car, I like the way it looks. I change the steering wheel, that's like a big deal to me, and then other stuff like under the hood and blah blah blah. So thanks for commenting, thanks for subscribing, thanks for all the ways you guys support the channel. We couldn't do it without you, we wouldn't want to, but especially thanks for watching.
And until next time on Substandard Leader Fox Body Videos, 1 year only twin turbo 5-speed Lincoln Town cars, Ford drag vans, proud owner and proprietor of Club Big Boost. Look, man, and getting in the meth business. That's what I'm talking about. We're a full service club. We got it all. We got alcohol. We got the methamphetamines. We got dancing. You know we got the dancing. Say dance. Oh. Granola bar. And as always, fighting the good fight against zombie Mustangs and Dr. Fear. We'll see you guys in the next video. I promise you we're going to drive this car at some point again.